God almighty. Welcome to the shit show.
My friends, my pals, my ding-dangs, and my walla walla bang bangs, hello. Welcome. It's February. I haven't seen you since January, but that's okay. How's everybody doing? I had a mental breakdown in January. Cheers. So to be honest with you, I did not feel like coming on here and doing my little jokey jokes and talking about my little books and doing my little videos and shit. I just wanted to, hibernate. I don't know. That's pretty much what I did. I hibernated. Hi, welcome, hello. If you're new here, my name's Jo, and approximately every 2 months, I have a mental breakdown. Welcome. Today I have my January wrap-up. I wasn't going to do it, but I am going to do it. I'm ready to be back. I'm going to talk about what I've done for the past month because I think that would be fun. If you want to skip to a specific book, or if you want to see what the books I'm talking about in this video, there's timestamps for those. Just go check them out, okay? Just go check them out. So, what did I do in the month of January? Well, I started playing Assassin's Creed. The fifth one, I don't know, the one with pirates. I've never played an Assassin's Creed game before, and I've started playing it, and it's been fun. I have restarted the game approximately 3 times because, number one, I couldn't beat this one part, and so I was like, well, let's just start back at the beginning and see if I can beat it. Beat it in a new game. And then number 2, I realized that I was not looting bodies, which is a thing that you're supposed to do, so I was broke. Assassin's Creed Black Flag, that's what I'm playing. It's fun so far. I don't know if my cozy gaming heart or hands or body is built for Assassin's Creed, but we're having a good time trying and failing. Also, there's a lot of running in this game. There's a lot of running. Is this how all the Assassin's Creed games are? Because I feel like I'm constantly just running and hiding, okay? I started crocheting. I'll insert a picture of me with my blanket. I have mastered the single crochet. Is that what it's called? I don't know. I think I've mastered it at this point. Look how happy she is. Look how pleased with herself she is. Yes, I have started to crochet. Is it the prettiest blanket in the world? No, but I have been making it, and whilst I have been crocheting that beautiful, lustrous blanket, I have been binging Ice Road Truckers, because that is what my mental health needed at the time, was Ice Road Truckers and a new hobby. So that's what we did. That's what we did. Now we've moved on from Ice Road Truckers, and I've started to watch the Hulu series called 9 Perfect Strangers, which is based off of that Leanne Moriarty book. It's pretty good so far. I'm really into it. It's got Nicole Kidman in it and Melissa McCarthy, who is like my bitch. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying that. What else have I done? I started journaling, which is fun. I also read, 6 novels and 24 volumes of manga. So let's talk about those now. Okay. That was a little bit more violent than I was anticipating. I believe the last reading update that I did, my cheeky little reading updates that I do, I was reading or had read Dungeon Crawler Carl and Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. So, since then, I have obviously continued on with Dungeon Crawler Carl. This series is fantastic. If you did not watch that update, let me tell you a little bit of what it's about, my friends. Let's put Carl right here at his place of honor. I'm loving these books. We're pretty much following this dude named Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut, as they are trying to navigate through this kind of dungeon level system that these aliens have created for their own enjoyment. Sorry, I have a hair. At the beginning of the story, Princess Donut jumps out of the window. Carl goes to fetch her. And fortunately, they are outside when every single building in the entire world goes kaplitch, kasquish, squish, squish, squish. So all of the people who are inside when that happens obviously are dead. And then these doorways open up and there's this like loudspeaker man coming on saying pretty much, hey, come into this doorway and join the dungeon. The dungeon is pretty much, it's literally like a video game. There's literally a tutorial section in here, my friends. Like if you grew up playing RPG games like I did as a child and a preteen and a teenager and an adult, you will love this book, okay? You will love this book. I promise you, I promise you. I do think that if you're really, really sensitive toward like sexual humor, then this may not jive with you. There are quite a few foot fetish jokes. There is also an achievement that you can get for killing children. So, this may not be for you if you are in any way super sensitive, but for me, Dungeon Crawler Carl is like the perfect blend of just absolute and utter hilarious moments and dialogue, and we have a meth-toting fire-spitting llama as one of the mobs. So if you can imagine what is in the dungeon, it's a lot of craziness. But there is also some dark moments as well, obviously, because the majority of the human race is dead, and all of the remaining humans are forced to kind of like fight to survive inside of this dungeon, as well as things like who has the right to retain their own autonomy. Like I said, there's some darker things going on in here, but within all of that, I think that Matt Denneman explores the darker things in a way that calls attention to those things, but doesn't dampen the overall hilarity of the book. I think it's fucking hilarious. It's funny. I read book 1 and also book 2, Carl's Doomsday Scenario, in the month of January. I enjoyed them both. Book 2 brings in a little bit more of a quest-based system, which I thought that I would really love, but I found that I preferred the kind of leveling up, getting loot boxes, defeating bosses type of structure that book 1 has, but nevertheless, I did enjoy book 2. So if you're looking for an absolutely hilarious sci-fi that's going to be super addicting, and you like video games, definitely check this out. They're just phenomenal, and I still have a hair on my lip. Where are these hairs coming from? Elantris, that was the other thing that I talked about. Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, this one. The only things that I've read from the Cosmere have been the Mistborn trilogy, the Era 1, is that what the Sander fans call it? I don't know. Era 1 of Mistborn, as well as books 1 and 2 in the Stormlight Archive series. So I'm wanting to go back and kind of go through the Cosmere and read it. So I started off with this one because everyone says this is like the worst thing in the world and that it's super fucking boring. I found it to be a lot of fun, actually. I think that people go into this expecting some sort of action-adventure thing about an ancient city, and it's really not. To me, it's more of like a cozy political fantasy with a dash of romance and some religious corruption. I had a lot of fun with it. I definitely think that towards the end there are multiple different things that I wish would have been drawn out a little bit more. I think this would have worked fantastically as a duology. I know there's some short stories, or there is a short story written like around this Elantris situation. I haven't read that yet. I do think that there are some things that have been left open. I don't know if that's on purpose. I don't know if Brando Sando intends to return to the world of Elantris, but I found it really fascinating. One of the things that I've been wanting to read more of is, number 1, religious corruption, because it's my favorite thing to talk about in my day-to-day life, and also ancient civilizations. I love a good ancient civilization. So for me, this is pretty much like the Lost City of Atlantis meets the Spanish Inquisition meets a cozy farming sim. If that sounds right up your alley, then Elantris is the way to go. I had a lot of fun with it. I definitely think that it can be a little bit slow in places. I think that there is definitely some things that are left open that I was a little bit unsatisfied with in the end, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it was way better than I was expecting it to be. Thinner. Let's talk about Thinner by Richard Bachman. This was an interesting one. This was an interesting one. Richard Bachman, if you don't know, is Stephen King. It's his like pseudonym name change thingy, his secret identity, if you will. So Thinner follows a man named Billy Halleck who runs over a Roma woman and then is cursed to lose a lot of weight really quickly, to the point to where he is pretty much wasting away, and he goes on this journey to find this group of travelers who he believes have cursed him and try and get them to lift the curse off of him. This was strangely entertaining. I mean, in amongst all of the racism, the sexism, and the general hatred of fat people, I was moderately entertained, okay? I was really enjoying this. I mean, you kind of have to go into a Richard Bachman or a Stephen King book expecting some sort of, let's say, less than tasteful language. If I kind of overlook all of that, it was a really entertaining story. I do think that Billy Halleck is one of the most unlikable protagonists that I've ever read about. The man is just nasty. He's just nasty. He deserved to be cursed, and he literally blames everyone else for his problems and his mistakes. Some of the things that he says and does and thinks towards women especially just really grossed me out. So I was really having a great time watching Billy waste away, as it were. I do think that this story does have an incredible psychological quality to it that I found as well in Misery by Stephen King. I love this continued stream of consciousness kind of slow descent into madness that you can see on the page. It's like he can't help but let his mind just continue to spin and spin and spin. And I enjoy that type of stuff. It made me anxious, which is not a difficult thing to do because I get anxious going to the grocery store, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. There were multiple times where I had to put it down and I was just like, I need like a second. It wasn't scary in any way. I would say it was more of a thriller suspense. It really kind of reminded me of Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill, which is interesting. Another super unlikable main character running towards something, going to get something. You know what I'm saying? If you're bored and you want something strange to pick up and you don't mind a little bit of racism, sexism, fat phobia in your books, Thinner by Richard Bachman. And the last two novels that I read in the month of January were A Time of Dread and A Time of Blood by John Gwynne. This is books 1, 2 in his Of Blood and Bone trilogy. I'm currently reading the third book right now. I flew through these, okay? This is the companion trilogy to his Faithful in the Fallen trilogy? No, it's the fucking quartet. Anyway, that one. It's a companion to that one, and that one, Faithful in the Fallen, was one of my favorite series that I read last year. I absolutely loved it. I was so just emotionally invested in all of the characters that were in there, and so I was really hesitant to go into this companion trilogy because it happens about 100 years after the events of the fourth book in The Faithful and the Fallen. So we're following a new cast of characters. We're still in the same world. So there's not a ton that I can say about the plot of this one because that would 100% spoil The Faithful and the Fallen. Also, if you have read The Faithful and the Fallen, why haven't you picked this up? There's like maybe 7,000 ratings for A Time of Blood on Goodreads. Like, it's very, very low, in my opinion. I would say that this is kind of like a shade darker than The Faithful and the Fallen, and the lines between good and evil are a lot more blurred, and I think that adds something interesting to the world itself. It doesn't feel like a regurgitation of the conflict that we were having in the previous series. It just feels like a little bit more of an expansion. I also think that John Gwynne, again, he is just able to make me so attached to a group of people. It's insane. I love these people with every fiber of my being. I do have a couple of little nitpicky things about the series, of course. You know, some of the characters in here can be really, really stubborn, and I don't really know how they survived to this point. As we get into book 2, I think that there's a couple of things that are just kind of accepted a little bit quickly, and we kind of just move on from those. Book 2 was even faster paced than book 1. I think book 1 kind of went along the same way as Malice did. There was a little bit of a build-up time, and then we got going towards the latter half of the book, but then book 2 starts off with a bang, and I feel like book 2 was a little bit too fast for my taste. I wish that we could have taken a little bit more time to kind of like ruminate in some situations and think about some things, you know, a little bit longer, but I'm definitely excited to continue on in book 3 for February. So I read volumes 2 through 25 of Attack on Titan. I have them in these colossal editions. I have the sixth one right here. They're this big. They're like a compilation of 5. I have read into the 6th volume of the Colossal Edition, which is volumes like what, 25 to 30, 26 to 30, something like that. But I didn't count those because I haven't finished the entirety of this. I've taken a little bit of a break from it because of some of the things that are going on in the volume that I'm currently at. I'm not super happy about them, and I'm still coming to terms with things that are going on, but that's okay. This is definitely an action-packed, action-based series. I would say like the first 15 volumes are pretty action heavy, and then we get a little bit more into the politics of the world and some scheming, and we start learning some things about the Titans and the world outside of our little Titan-proof bubble. I've watched like the first 3 or 4 seasons of the anime, love the anime, and I do think that the action scenes translate a lot better in visual format than they do on the paper. Not in terms of languages, but just in terms of like movement and yeah, movement. That's what we're going with. So overall, within all of those books and all of that manga, I read 7,338 pages in the month of January. The escapism was heavy with January, and my average rating for all of the books that I read was a 3.983, which is good. So those are all of the books that I read in the month of January. Let me know down below if you've read any of these. Let me know your thoughts on them. What did you guys read in January? Did you have fun? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to join the NotSoAverageJo army. We would love to have you. It's a good place to be. Sometimes your commander kind of takes an impromptu break and just fucks off into the next month, but here we are. great fun. We have great fun here. But anyways, I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I will see you next time.